From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Tonight, Godwin Obaseki wins Edo State governorship election, commends President Muhammadu Buhari for allowing a level playing ground for the election. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Governor Godwin Obaseki and restates his commitment to free and fair elections. The All Progressives Congress in Edo State rejects governorship election results, alleges foul play as PDP congratulates Edo voters. And HSBC indicted in a leaked financial document for allegedly aiding fraudsters in transfer of millions of dollars around the world. Plus sports stories. After a long voting process that started on Saturday, the much-awaited Edo State governorship election has come to a close, with incumbent Governor Godwin Obaseki securing a re-election to govern the state for another 4 years. This is the second time Governor Obaseki is defeating his arch-rival, Osagie Ize-Iyamu, but this time with a clear margin of 84,336 votes. The declaration ignited up a statewide jubilation, particularly in the capital, Benin City, where PDP supporters and residents of all ages and class took to the streets. Then follows a congratulatory message from the president, who believes the process has strengthened the nation's democracy. But the APC in Edo State smells foul play and will decide on what to do on a future date. For Governor Obaseki, his victory message comes loud and clear. He owes his victory to the good people of Edo State. Let's kick off the news at 10 tonight with a process leading to the re-election of Governor Godwin Obaseki for another term in office. The governor obviously has a new mandate to govern Edo State for another 4 years following his victory at the governorship election. He polled 307,955 votes to defeat his closest rival, Osagie Ize-Iyamu of the APC, who garnered 223,619 votes, leaving a margin of 84,336 votes between the top two contenders in the election.
A major election in a pandemic, a first for INEC since the COVID-19 began to ravage. With polls concluded, the vigil at the Collation Center of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Benin City, the state capital, began and ran all through Saturday night.
Number of registered voters 118671.
But all that ended on Sunday afternoon, a day after the poll.
APC 18365.
PDP is 20101.
Party agents and journalists are alert as the results for the election from local government areas are reeled out. The announcements continue. However, after the results of 16 local government areas had been announced, the INEC officials opted to go on a 2-hour break. The decision leads to this episode of firm objections.
So we'll take break for the next 2 to 3 hours and then we'll continue.
Before we went on the 1-hour break, our agent for the PDP in Oriomo had arrived here with a copy of the results, and he followed the Oriomo collation officer and EO with the results to this venue. They walked into the hall and sat down here.
I just want to let you know that my colleague in PDP is just trying to act a script. We are aware that the result has been changed at the local government level in Ondo and local government. So it's only just being economical with the truth.
The break lasts for a shorter time, after which the results from the remaining local government areas are given.
Total valid votes 15885. 223,619 votes.
The final announcement reveals the winner of the 2020 Edo governorship election.
Godwin N. Obaseki of the PDP had 307,955. 307,955. That Godwin N. Obaseki of PDP, having satisfied the requirement of the law in meeting the 25% in two-thirds of the local government area in the state and having a margin of lead higher than the council votes, is hereby declared the winner and returned elected.
Godwin Obaseki has now gotten the people's mandate to lead them for yet another 4 years.
And it was indeed in that excited mood that Governor Obaseki thanked the people of the state for their support and President Muhammadu Buhari for creating an atmosphere for a free and fair process. Governor Obaseki attributes his success at the polls to the people's resilience and determination to entrench a new political order in the state.
The great people of Ondo State have spoken, and they have spoken loud and clear. We thank God Almighty and give Him all the glory for this victory. Thank you, President Muhammadu Buhari, for defending our democracy and allowing the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, and the security services to perform their constitutional functions without interference. INEC and the security services have shown Nigerians and the world indeed that they are capable of conducting free and credible elections. Words fail me in saluting the timid supporters who displayed courage in the face of threats, intimidation, and brutalization. The collective will of Edo people made it possible for us to triumph over godfatherism. We thank you all. I am eternally grateful to my party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP. And my brother governors, not only for giving us the umbrella during our political storm, but for the hard work which has brought me back to office. Our success has reinforced my belief that there's nothing we cannot achieve as a people if we pull forces together and collectively call on God for support. In conclusion, I reiterate to all of you today that working with my deputy, the Right Honorable Philip Schreiber, we are committed to make Edo great again. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for your support. God bless Edo State. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
And the chairman of the PDP campaign and governor of Rivers State, Wike, who was part of the celebration, is now back to his home state where he was received by supporters. The governor commended the Independent National Electoral Commission and security agencies over their conduct of the just concluded Edo governorship election. He believes the victory signals a new direction for states in the South-South to now speak with one voice on issues concerning the region.
So in South-South, the whole 6 states is for PDP. And so all of us, we are going to speak with one voice. Yes. It is no longer where this party is in the other state. Yes. Then we will not talk with one voice. But now we'll talk with one voice. Yes. But let me say this to comment. For the first time, if Anna conducts election this way, people will be going to have faith. Yes. And I have also said that the only people that can conduct a credible election is INEC and police. If they agree, that the election will be free and fair. It will be free and fair.
Yes.
And yesterday has shown that everybody was committed.
Yes.
At least to show that, look, if we have made mistakes before, we don't think we continue to make mistakes. Nigeria has to move forward. So what happened was clear choice of the Edo people. And INEC should be commended. When they do bad, we say you did bad. When they do what they're supposed to say, we say thank you for doing what they're supposed to do. So also the security agencies. Yes, IG tried to do something that would have led to crisis, and thank God they understood themselves. And yesterday, the police also made sure that people's votes were protected. So I thank all of you.
There were more people equally happy with the outcome of the elections. There were members of the PDP as well as supporters of the re-elected governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki. They were on the streets expressing their feelings in various ways.
The party starts indoors for in the streets are louder. It's not a party anymore. It's an impromptu carnival. The excitement is spontaneous, the joy on their faces infectious. These people cannot hide the inner connection they have with their number one citizen.
Just show to the world that we can choose our candidate by ourselves, not by godfatherism.
These Edo citizens predicate their joy on trust, a deep trust rooted that the governor will make good his electoral promises and deliver the dividends of democracy in his second spell at the helm of affairs.
President Muhammadu Buhari has also commended the election process, which led to the victory of Governor Godwin Obaseki today. The president, in his congratulatory message to the governor, urged him to show grace and humility in victory. His statement reads, "My commitment to free and fair elections is firm because without free and fair elections, the foundation of our political and moral authority will be weak. I have consistently advocated for free and fair elections in the country because it is our bedrock of true democratic order. Democracy will mean nothing if the votes of the people do not count or if their mandate is fraudulently tampered with." He also commended the people of Edo State, the political parties, candidates and security agencies for conducting themselves responsibly during and after the election. In part two, after the break, we'll have more on the just concluded Edo State governorship election. We'll be joined by the re-elected governor himself, Godwin Obaseki, as he presents his agenda for the next 4 years. Stay with us. Welcome back. If it has joined us to watch the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos, a reminder of our top stories. Godwin Obaseki wins Edo State governorship election, commends President Muhammadu Buhari for allowing a level playing ground for the election. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Governor Godwin Obaseki, restates his commitment to free and fair elections. The All Progressives Congress in Edo State rejects governorship election results, alleges foul play as PDP congratulates Edo voters. And HSBC indicted in a leaked financial document for allegedly aiding fraudsters in transferring of millions of dollars around the world. We're staying with the aftermath of the elections in Edo State for the PDP national chairman, which is seconded says saluting the people of Edo State for standing up for democracy by re-electing Governor Godwin Obaseki and his deputy Philip Shaibu. The PDP chairman says the victory is a clear affirmation and demonstration of the people's will and determination to ensure that the will of the people and nobody else's prevailed in the state. He also commended the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the various security agencies for playing by the rules. In his words, last Saturday's governorship election is far better than any previous elections conducted under the watch of President Muhammadu Buhari. We are standing on the euphoria of this to urge the President to sign the amended Electoral Act into law and carry out further electoral reforms that will engender peace and less interference in our electoral process. He also congratulates and salutes the APC and its candidates, Pastor Osage Izeyamu, for providing healthy challenge during the poll. But all of the celebration is not exciting, as you can understand, to the All Progressives Congress in Edo State. The party is alleging foul play, but wants its members to stay calm while party leaders study the results and decide on what is next. The chairman of the APC Media Campaign Council, Mr. John Miyaki, says the party rejects the results, citing alleged strong arm tactics. He alleges that supporters of the party were arbitrarily arrested and many of the figures fabricated to shore up PDP numbers and mark down the APCs. The statement reads, areas where we won, they cancelled them. They decreased the votes in areas we had advantage. They rejected our results and jerked up theirs. Meanwhile, the party also claims there was arbitrary arrests of local party members who could have resisted the outrage while Governor Godwin Obaseki was allegedly busy diverting attention with false alarm. The National Peace Committee is also pleased with the conduct of the election in Edo State, which they say Nigeria appreciates, shows the exemplary sacrifice, decorum, and courage displayed by the candidates and the electorate, and want Nigerians across the board to emulate the conduct. The chairman of the committee, retired General Abdulsalami Abubakar, also commended INEC, the Inspector General of Police, and other security agencies for what he calls an excellent job. He urged the political parties and the players to repay the people of Edo State with all the ingredients of good governance, justice, and equity. Let's hear now from the re-elected governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki. Our political correspondent, Sheil Akimalo, is standing by to speak to him. Sheil.
Thank you, Amarachi. I'm now being joined on News at 10 by the governor of Edo State and the winner of the Saturday governorship election in Edo State 2020. Governor Godwin Obaseki. Thank you so much and welcome to the News at 10.
Thank you, Sheil, for having me.
And I'm also congratulations on your victory at the polls.
Thank you, Sheil.
Let's begin. How does the victory come to you? A surprise?
No, but I feel very elated. I feel very, very happy. Just watching the responses, the reactions from citizens of Edo State across board. For me, I just have never seen a group of people or people react so spontaneously with such excitement. And that made me feel very, very good.
I know that the election and the campaigns must have brought a lot of grievances and a lot of bad blood with your former friends, enemies, political foes and all of that. Now, the elections are over. What are your plans on fence mending?
Well, I hope and pray that it just happens automatically, because what were the issues? The issues were exactly what I campaigned on during the elections. Now that the elections are over, now a victor has emerged. I think it's time to align. It's like we can't go back. We all need to go forward. I hope these elections demonstrate clearly that the policies, the decisions on which this contest really rests about. It's not a personal, there's nothing personal about it. It's more like this is, we believe that this is the way we should, forge ahead. This is the way we should go in Edo State. And now that the people have come out decisively to say, yes, they agree with the direction the governor is going, I just appeal to them to join us so that we can just work in the interest and for the progress of our people and our state.
Has your main challenger reached out to you since the determination of the outcome of this election?
I haven't heard from him yet. I'll check my phones because I've been resting. But just understand that there's nothing personal. We're both Beninese. We have crisscrossing relationships. There's nothing personal. So I hope that he sees that the outcome of this election is a referendum on the agenda we have sold as a party, and that he will align. And the moment he does, he knows my doors are wide open for talks, for participation. There's so much work ahead of us, and I believe there's room for everybody to contribute.
Are you willing to reach out to him?
Oh, I've always done and will always do.
Well, at this point, you heard what the president in the statement that he released from the office of the presidency about the process of this election. What comes out to you, particularly about the conduct of the exercise?
I must say that overall, it's max progress, max difference from what we've had in previous elections. Thanks to technology, thanks to the leadership of INEC, that singular move to introduce more transparency in the process by being able to send results from the units, from the polling units, into an open platform, I think it's quite commendable, and I'll encourage that be pursued further. Yes, you have some teething problems, but it's the direction to go, so that by the time votes are announced in the polling unit where you voted and collected across the country, there is a clear direction and indication of where the outcomes, the likely outcomes of those polls.
Quickly, after the election comes the burden of governance, and you've made several promises to the people of Edo State. And in the light of the impact of COVID-19 on economies around the world, of course, Edo State is not insulated from that. How do you hope to deliver on these promises to the people of Edo State?
We're fortunate because we had started. We didn't know COVID was going to come when we started the reforms. So we had started undertaking fundamental reforms in many aspects of our state. And so it's not going to be much of a challenge, just continuing in the direction we have already started. Whether it's in the area of education, of healthcare, some work has already been done. And those were some of the issues that these elections were about. The key will be governance. The key will be fixing institutions, using technology in the light of COVID and post-COVID world to govern better, to create more transparency and accountability, and then training, building capacity of our people, particularly our public servants, the civil servants, to deliver service to the people and get them to account for the little resources that we have. I believe that what we have is not too much, but it's sufficient to get us much farther than where we are today as a state.
I'm very certain that, and this perhaps to wrap up the conversation, I'm very certain as a human being, you must have learned a lot of lessons from the process since you were trying to seek re-election. But share with us, what is fundamentally the biggest lesson that you have this process has taught you?
I think the greatest lesson is that you know, as humans, you will try to do everything you want to do. You have all your imaginations, but underneath it all, there's a force, there's a power that guides us, and you should always listen to that inner voice. It's God that essentially orders things, and if you don't sit back and listen to him and think it's about you, and you have all that energy, all that force to determine the future or determine things around you, it'll be a mistake. I will not say, it was because of my prowess or because of my energy level. No, it's essentially God. Just listening to your Creator, listening to your God, and waiting for direction from him. That's one of the biggest lessons I've learned.
Once again, congratulations, Governor Godwin Obaseki, on your re-election, and we wish you the very best in your pursuit in this second term.
Thank you very much, Cheryl.
Thank you so much. And it's back to you now, Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Sean. We'll make a quick break from Edo State in just a bit. We'll return to more analysis on the election has just been concluded. But to Ondo State now, where the People's Democratic Party is confident of victory in the October 10th governorship election. The party's candidate, Eyitayo Jegede, during a campaign tour of a local government area, says he's more confident than ever of his victory at the poll. It's barely 3 weeks of the governorship election in Ondo State, and the People's Democratic Party is out to canvass support. The party's flag bearer, Eyitayo Jegede, is leading his team on a tour of Ose local government area. The campaign takes them through Afo, then Iduani and Emir, where they walk into the warm reception of residents. By the time the train gets to Elegbeka, it's already dark, but the supporters do not mind waiting for as long as it takes to receive their August visitor.
That is testimony of the acceptability of our candidate and of our great party, PDP.
Ifon is the last destination on the schedule. And like the previous community, residents are out in their numbers to receive the PDP candidate.
This is massive. Ifon has stood still for Eyitayo Jegede, as you can see. Even at this odd hour, people are still waiting to receive the candidate of their choice. It's almost 8 p.m. and you can still see the crowd expecting to hear from him. I'm happy tonight because I know Ose is for Jegede, Ifon is for Jegede, our people are ready, and I'm sure they're going to vote massively for him.
For Eyitayo Jegede, this is a pointer to how much support he has in all the communities visited.
I am impressed. I am happy. For me, it's a thing of joy to be here. The time now is 8:30 p.m. The entire people of Ifon are waiting for us. We give glory to God that we have met our supporters. By the grace of God, we will vote on 10th of October 2020 and will emerge victorious. You can see the people, they are all here. Youth, full of energy. PDP is on the way to victory.
With his team, the governorship hopeful also visits the palace of the traditional ruler of Owo, Oba Gbadegeshin Ogunye, for royal blessings. When the News at 10 returns, large turnout of residents as Emir of Zazzau in Kaduna State is buried. Join us again. Welcome back. We return to our lead story tonight. The just concluded governorship election in Edo State. Has the political chess game again ended in Edo State, or are there opportunities for surprise moves? To analyze the trends, patterns and results of the election is Babajide Ogusanwo, data and information consultant here in Channels Television. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm sure Well, this election surprised a lot of people, the fact that everything went well and the fact that, the results came out pretty early. The pre-election situation, however, was tense, but it seemed that there was relative peace during the election. Did you notice any old or new patterns this time?
The Edo elections may have ended, but the Nigerian 2023 elections perhaps have just started. With these elections, there are three ways we could look at it. We could look at what happened in 2016, look at what happened in 2020, what happened yesterday, and then let's look at what this reveals. So tonight, I'd like to start with looking at how it all started in 2016, how Godwin Obaseki, candidate Obaseki then, how he won his election in 2016. And if we take a look at that, and we look at the areas he had his victory, you will notice two things. The first is the ex-governor, Adams Oshomole, assisted him to win Edo North. Godwin Obaseki had the margin of victory in Edo South, even though Edo North was the region where he had his largest margin of victory. And in Edo Central, where historically the PDP, even though Edo Central is the smallest senatorial district, the candidate of the PDP then, Pastor Ezeyamu, won in Edo Central. That's exactly what happened in 2016. It was a victory for candidate Obaseki in the Northern District and in the Southern District. And the total results then showed that they had a margin of victory of about 66,000 votes. Now let's fast forward into yesterday's election and look at the difference. Now what had happened this time around was the former governor Adams Oshomole with candidates Pastor Ezeyamu were able to win the Northern District, which is where the former governor Adams Oshomole comes from. And so in 2020, we've seen a victory for Pastor Ezeyamu in the Northern region, and we've seen the governor winning Edo Central and winning Edo South. And so the result shows that his largest victory this time around came from the Southern District of Edo South, which is where you have the 7 local government areas. And so in summary, what it reveals is there are 3 things. The first is it shows that the former governor Adams Oshomole is still a force in Edo North. He was able to get a lot of votes for candidate Obaseki in 2016, and Obaseki won the Northern District. This time around, supporting candidate Pastor Ezeyamu, the 2 of them were able to still win that Edo Northern District. This time around, we've seen the governor winning Edo Central and Edo South, and that's the summary of what really has happened.
What is the political outlook? Are there any major political calculations at this time?
Well, there are significant political calculations, especially if we look at the Southern region. Now, the Southern region now is the only region that has all the governors from the same party. And don't forget, there are still 4 more states that will be having governorship elections before 2023, but none of these states are in the South. So it is expected that going into the 2023 election, all these 6 states will go into elections with Southern governors. In the Southeast, the APC has only 1 governor. In the Southwest, the APC has 5 governors. In the Northwest, the APC has 6 states that it governs out of the 7 states. In the North Central, the APC has 5 governors out of the 6 states in the North Central. And in the Northeast is a tie. So the APC is governed by is governing 3 states, and the PDP is governing 3 states. In the summary equation as of today, the APC controls 20 states, the PDP controls 15 states, and ABGA controls 1, and that's in Anambra. So that is the situation as it is. But what is important as well, which we've noticed in this election, is the voter turnout, Amarachi, was relatively low compared to even what happened in 2016. So this time, only 1 out of 4 registered voters came out, and that showed in the results. So for instance, in Edo North, we see Pastor Ezeyamu winning all the local governments in Edo North, apart from Owan West. So in summary, Pastor Ezeyamu had 104,000 plus votes. Godwin Obaseki in Edo North only had 82,000 plus votes. Look at what happened in Edo Central. Totally, in total, we had 5 local governments in Edo Central. Godwin Obaseki scoring 60,000 plus votes. Pastor Osage Ezeyamo scoring just approximately 35,000 votes, 34,900 votes. And that gave Obaseki some leeway, some margin, even though he lost in the north. But the governor's largest victory in yesterday's election came from Edo South, where he polled over 165,000 votes compared to Pastor Ezeyamo's 83,000 plus votes. In other words, approximately half of those that were accredited in this election came from Edo South, and the victory and the margin of victory that they polled in Edo South really decided this election. But people have asked, is this the end of the political calculation? What it shows is this is not the end, Amachi.
We're just beginning, actually.
This is not even the beginning of the end. This is perhaps the end of the beginning. Winston Churchill.
Thanks again, Babajide. Always enjoy the way you close your arguments.
The pleasure is always mine.
Thanks again. In other news now, the Joint Health Sector Unions, JOHISU, has announced the suspension of its 7-day nationwide warning strike and has asked the Assembly of Healthcare Professional Associations to return to work tomorrow across all federal health institutions in the country. The union said in a statement by its national chairman, Bio Beketoye Toy Josiah, that its next line of action will be decided in due course by the expanded National Executive Council. The union also alleges that instead of the federal government to call JOHISU for a dialogue to resolve the trade dispute, the federal government has resorted to intimidation and blackmail of its leaders using all forms of instruments and faceless organizations. It insists it will continue to use all legitimate means to defend the rights and demands for the welfare of its members in the health sector. Of the people of Zazzau in Kaduna State as they bid farewell to their Emir, Alhaji Shehu Idris, who passed on at the age of 84. His death was confirmed in a statement by Governor Nasir El-Rufai, who said the traditional ruler died at the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital in the state capital after a brief illness. The governor describes the Emir of Zazzau as a rare gem, a source of wisdom, guidance, and a true father to all. The Emir of Zazzau was chairman of the Kaduna State Council of Judicial Rulers. He has since been buried according to Islamic rites. Staying in Kaduna State ahead of the 5th edition of the State Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit, Governor Nasir El-Rufai has inspected some ongoing projects in the state capital with a promise to complete them in record time, while a new one will be awarded. The governor insists that road projects will boost infrastructure development in addition to attracting more investors into the state.
Kaduna, the former capital of the defunct northern region, is the third most populous state in the country. However, while the population is growing by the day, the available infrastructure is not growing correspondingly. Shortly before his second-term re-election in 2019, Governor Nasir El-Rufai moved to bridge the infrastructure gap by signing an agreement with a Chinese company for the road component of the Kaduna Urban Renewal Project. The aim, according to him, is to accelerate the urbanization of Kaduna City and major towns like Zaria and Kafanchan, where more than 2/3 of the population reside. Almost immediately, the bulldozers and other equipment were mobilized to different sites, and the entire state capital has become a huge construction site. So far, some of the roads have been completed and opened for use, while others are at various stages of completion. Ahead of the state's 5th Economic and Investment Summit, Governor Nasir El-Rufai embarks on inspection of some of the road projects. He assesses progress of the construction of the underpass at the end of Yakubu Gawan Road, which will replace the former Leventis roundabout with a 5.6-kilometer road from the Millennium City to the Eastern Bypass. He explains the rationale behind the construction.
The whole idea is to give the people of Kaduna State more economic opportunities, because the government cannot employ everyone. The only way we'll have economic progress and expansion and for the government to have more taxes is to have more businesses. And businesses will not come unless there is basic infrastructure.
It was a busy day for the governor, as he also pays a visit to the site of the new Kawo flyover and the new 12.5-kilometer road, which will link Malali to the Western Bypass and the Rigasa train station through a dualized rubber road. He says the Western Bypass will be reconstructed completely by Aliko Dangote under the tax credit scheme. Residents commend the state government for the project, but want it extended to other areas.
Before this road, everywhere gallop. When we are passing this road, we are suffering. But now, if they open this road, we enjoy the road.
I love the expansion of Alkali Road. It's so beautiful. Compare it with some years back. I love the way he's constructed the road. And more of that. In fact, it's a welcome development. And in fact, I'm even appealing to Mr. Rufai to extend this to the southern part of Kaduna. Like Sabo Television, Narai, Ongwarimi, Barnawa, Kakuri, even up to Marabon Rido.
The urban renewal process is a state initiative, according to Governor Nasser El-Rufai, that seeks to use private sector players as drivers to improve the economy of Kaduna State.
Well, staying with development and infrastructure, many have argued that unreliable power supply may be standing in the way of Nigeria's economic growth. The release of new service-based system prompting a new tariff now has many consumers groaning over poor power supply. In this report, our correspondent, Dari Dewu, spotlights the plight of some electricity consumers in Ibafo area of Ogun State, where residents have series of complaints against the distribution company.
Nigeria's electricity value chain cuts across generation, transmission and distribution. And over the years, enough is either not generated, transmitted or distributed to match demands. These have sparked complaints from consumers who say they're not getting enough value for their money. These residents have always gathered here to seek solution to their long-standing electricity issues.
As a community, we are trying to engage them and to help them. All the cables, all the transformer, we have over 100 transformers. Out of those transformers, only 3 were given by the former governor of Shoba. So others were bought by the community with our own money.
At this sawmill, one of the businesses in the area, those in charge have asked to be disconnected from the disco's facilities. They now rely on generator to run their day-to-day business.
As the agitation over the electricity tariff increase grows, hundreds of communities in Ibafo, Obafemi, with the local government area of Ogun State say they've paid a lot of money, resorted in self-help to have enough electricity to run their homes and businesses, but they've ended up paying for darkness.
We bought the 500, we installed. This is already here. Just asking IBADC to come and install for us. Cost of installation is not up to the cost of purchase. This has been here for over a year now.
Some residents believe the disco is biting off more than it can chew.
The coverage they gave to IBDC is a large coverage. How can they control from here to Kogi and part of Niger? The enlargement is too much. They should try to break the chain.
I think some of the challenges we're facing is not uncommon amongst the discos. There's a limitation to the load that is given to that axis. Initial grid structure did not cater for most of those developments. But what we have now is some of them are pegged currently at 13 megawatts, and the effective load available that should be available around there, we're looking at around 40 megawatts.
As these residents go restless, hoping for a solution, there are also agitations from different quarters across the country on the new tariff system, asking the regulator to step in. Dari Idowu, Channels.
British Health Secretary Matt Hancock says COVID-19 restrictions in the country will get tougher if rules are not followed. His warning comes as the government introduces £10,000 fines for people who fail to self-isolate. His warning also comes as global COVID-19 cases surpass 30.36 million and the death toll exceeds 948,000. Here's a global update. According to the World Health Organization, there's been a rise in the number of COVID-19 cases worldwide, as well as the death toll. The WHO Coronavirus Disease Dashboard showed the number of COVID-19 cases in the Americas covered more than half of the global total and reached 15,333,470.
More measures, more restrictions.
Britain's Health Minister Matt Hancock says the country is at the tipping point on COVID-19, with a warning of a second lockdown being imposed.
The nation faces a tipping point, and we have a choice. And the choice is either that everybody follows the rules, the rule of 6, and the need to self-isolate if you have a positive test or if you're contacted by NHS test and trace, or we will have to take more measures.
In Spain, protesters facing localized lockdowns in some of Madrid's less affluent areas demonstrated on Sunday to call for better health provisions and complained of discrimination by the authorities. The regional government announced on Friday that movement between and within 6 districts that are home to about 850,000 people will be restricted from Monday, although people will still be able to go to work. In the United States, the total number of COVID-19 cases has surpassed 6.76 million, with the death toll only inches away from the 200,000 mark. The severe situation in the country has forced land border ports with Mexico to expand closure for another month until October 21st. President Donald Trump has promised every American will have COVID-19 vaccine by April of next year, as the first batch of vaccines will be released later in the year. South Korea has extended its level 2 social distancing for a week until September 27th, which limits indoor gatherings to below 50 and outdoor to less than 100, and says it may tighten limits for the Chuseok holiday, when people traditionally reunite with families. The country reported 82 new coronavirus cases, 72 among local communities as of midnight of Saturday, the lowest daily infections since mid-August. The country has a total of 22,975 infections, with 383 deaths. Finally, Australia looks set to record its lowest daily increase in new coronavirus cases in 3 months, as a hard lockdown at the city of Melbourne brought the country's virus epicenter down sharply. The second most populous state, Victoria, of which Melbourne is the capital, reported 14 new infections in the 24 hours this Sunday morning, down from 21 new cases the day prior and its lowest since June 19. Leaked secret files have shown that Britain's biggest bank, HSBC, allowed fraudsters to transfer millions of dollars around the world, even after it learned of their scam. The bank moved the money through its U.S. business to HSBC accounts in Hong Kong in 2013 and 2014. The files show the investment scam, known as a Ponzi scheme, started soon after the bank was fined $1.9 billion in the U.S. over money laundering. It had promised to clamp down on these sorts of practices. The documents leak includes a series of other revelations, such as the suggestion one of the biggest banks in the U.S. may have helped a notorious mobster to move more than $1 billion. Sports news now. The COVID-19 pandemic has left so many athletes with so little to do in Nigeria. With stadia and training facilities closed across the nation, athletes had to find a way to be resourceful while waiting for the return of contact sports. This report takes a look at some basketball players who mastered their skills during the lockdown. The last day of the season, These ladies have given their all and now looking forward to the 2020 season. Crave for a regular competitive season that will see teams playing more games. Their prayers seem to be answered by the president of the Nigeria Basketball Federation.
Last week, I had my Nigerian Basketball Federation board, executive board meeting. One of the things was we adopted the program for 2020. So it's clear when we're going to start, it's clear what we want to do, it's also clear when we're going to finish.
When are we starting?
And we keep our fingers.
When are we starting?
We're going to start in May.
But the goal is yet to be achieved, no thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. No basketball, no problem for MFM players Oko Ukamaka and Bolanle Yusuf. These ladies are making good use of the pandemic to also showcase their skills off the court. Ukamaka loves shoemaking and is putting her second love to good use.
Immediately the lockdown, they eased the lockdown, I started coming to my workshop. I come every day. Normally I don't come every day. I come like 2-3 times in a week. Sometimes I don't even come. But the pandemic made me, like this period, it's made me learn a lot of designs, had time to perfect on my craft, and also had time for my clients as well.
And for her teammate Yusuf, hairstyling is her passion off the court.
I can't just be at home and be sleeping and be waking up, pressing my phone. So just take my phone, Google some hair I don't know how to make, then I'll just try it. I can call let me just try this thing.
The saying, an idle mind is the devil's workshop, definitely doesn't apply to these ladies. With the gradual return of sports, they are back training hard and getting ready to compete for a trophy when the league resumes. For them, ultimately, the wait is worth it. Liverpool has delivered a powerful statement of intent about their desire to retain the Premier League title with a comfortable dismissal of Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on another nightmare day for keeper Kepa Arrizabalaga. Liverpool were already in complete control even before Chelsea defender Andreas Christensen was correctly shown a red card on the stroke of half-time. Sadio Mane then punished Chelsea with 2 swift goals after the break, the second of which was the result of another calamity for Kepa. Earlier, Brighton thrashed Newcastle by 3-0 at St James's Park. And the main news again. Godwin Obaseki has been re-elected as the governor of Edo State for another 4-year term after defeating the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Osage Ize Iyamu, in an election that has been largely adjudged free and fair. Also today, President Muhammadu Buhari congratulated Governor Godwin Obaseki as he commended the electoral process that brought him back to power as governor. The president urged the governor to show grace and humility in victory. That's it on the News at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.